And you are on the record with Tiffany. And today I have my special guest, Dr. Richard Gibney. Dr. Gibney, tell my audience a little bit about yourself.
I have the great privilege to work in Waco, Texas, and started out with a typical practice, trained in San Antonio. That's where I got my internship, residency, and fellowship in nephrology, and then moved to Waco, Texas to practice medicine, to practice nephrology, and was doing kind of the typical thing with nephrology as far as chronic kidney disease and dialysis, and then met the people from IHI, which taught me about how to do the science of quality improvement, and then from that met a group from Sweden who showed us that they had self-care dialysis where the patients were coached and trained to do all their own building of the machine and understand all the concepts. People had created a joyful atmosphere, a collaborative atmosphere with the staff, dramatic drop in mortality to half of what it was before, dramatic drop in hospitalization rate, half of what it was before, so much better quality of life, much better health overall. And so we had a group that dramatically improved. The same thing with the staff. Tremendously joyful, tremendously happy, much so a collaborative partnership where both patients and staff were doing something that they really enjoyed, and we brought joy and a sense of hope and dignity back to medical care.
So from Waco, Texas, you took global innovation from Sweden, came to San Antonio, figured out how to do it, and then brought it back to the individual. So that's, a prime example of how we can take something from the world market and how the world has really gotten smaller. So you took that Swedish innovation and brought it back and adapted it to a Texas environment, Central Texas environment.
Correct. And to show you that the people of Texas are smart, they're good, they're just extraordinarily talented people. And so it wasn't a little boutique where just a few people. We had started out with the best people, obviously, that we thought would be successful, but we very quickly passed it on to all the patients that were starting dialysis. And by the end of 2018, 70% of the patients were doing self-care dialysis, where they were building the machines, their quality of life had dramatically improved, their hope, their optimism, their joy had dramatically improved. And with 70% doing it, it showed you that this is not restricted because of a disability. It's not restricted because of backgrounds or limitations on what they had as far as schooling or education, that everybody can do self-care dialysis. You simply have to adjust it for each person and each person's abilities and needs.
And as I understand it, you had 800 people in your program, with people who were the most compliant and great, but you also took patients who were very much difficult cases, who other programs had kicked them out. They didn't really have an option other than you or going to the emergency room for dialysis.
That's right. And what we discovered real quickly was that if you adapt it to a patient's abilities and recognize their humanity, things change very quickly. So things changed when we took the worst patient in our unit. He said, would you like to be in charge of your care? We'll coach and train you where you can really be in control, gain back your dignity and your hope. And he said, well, yeah. And he became one of the best patients in the unit. And we spread that throughout all of our 11 facilities. And we finally had the program with Hope and Caring where we take the most challenging people, and there's a term that we used to use called non-compliant patients, and there are no non-compliant patients. The term of bad patients, there are no bad patients. Now, what there are patients where our system, meaning internal to us, we haven't figured out what is best for that person. And if you'll spend the time to figure that out by giving them love and the patient recognizing the care and the love that you have for them, it changes everything to where they have trust. You have a relationship through their stories and their relationship. You build a trusting relationship between the staff and the patient. And with that, amazing things happen. Even the most difficult patients that even have, say, a severe psychiatric problems or that have significant drug problems, over time, as you gain that trust and relationship, those people all stabilize. And we started it in one of our units, and then we spread it to the other units. When we first started in one unit, it was common that the patients, when we said, okay, you can now return to a regular unit, you don't have to travel to a geographically farther place, the patients, a lot of them would say, no, I want to stay here because I recognize the love and the caring that the staff provide, and I've developed wonderful friendships and wonderful partnerships with both staff and patients. So it's really a magnificent example of what medicine should be.
And that's a timely example, because right now we're dealing with a lot of social unrest, and we have questions about what's happening even within our healthcare system, with things like adjusted EGFR. People need to know that they are seen as human, and that that there are places where patients are just being treated well across the board because they are human beings in need.
Absolutely. And so if you'll go ahead and do the recognition of behavior being an important part of the equation and meet those abilities and the humanity, and then you add on top of that to look at the social determinants of health. And so everybody knows that if you don't have transportation, if you don't have food, if you don't have enough money for medication, in the medical way, we can do the very best, say, for a patient with diabetes or hypertension or some decrease of kidney function and seizures. They come in the hospital, we stabilize it. But then if we send them home and we haven't addressed the issues of transportation, money to buy medications, etc., just basics of life, then those patients are going to be right back in the hospital, and we've missed a big part of what's going on. So what we need to do is be able to find the real issues of going on with people, and be depression, where we weren't able to recognize it before, the spirituality of what do we need to do for these people to help them with their mental, emotional needs. So those are all parts of the story. It's not just simply physical. And if we can stabilize all those, which we can, we have the greatest medical system in the world.
We do.
We just haven't adequately addressed all the different needs. And there are also times where I think that what we're doing doesn't reach all people. That it reaches some people, but then there are other people, and they're tragically they don't get the kind of needs that need to be addressed. And so our goals should be
multifaceted.
What's that?
I said our goal should be multifaceted. Kidney disease isn't a one-size-fits-all formula that can just be doled out to everyone. People are different and cultures are different. So when we're dealing with people in Texas along the border, the culture is a little bit different, and you need to address people where they are today. And when you're dealing with people who are in Dallas, in the middle of the state, it's a little bit different there. So that's the hypertension crowd. So we want to deal with each group, each different set of people groups, in a culturally sensitive manner.
Absolutely. And our goals should be very bold and very impressive. So if we said, well, we think we should help some people, I think a better answer is some is not a number. So if you said what the number should be is we should get to the point where nobody has to start dialysis in the future because we figured out ways to stabilize and make kidney function better or do implantable artificial kidneys, so that the answer is we're going to help everybody. And then if you said, what about time? Well, we're going to help somebody soon. Well, soon is not a time. How about now? How about yesterday? How about as soon as we can? We are the greatest country in the world. We're the most powerful medical people in the world. We can accomplish the things we're talking about. And sometimes when these tragic things occur, like the coronavirus, from that we can make possible dramatic improvements in medical therapy. And that's what hopefully will happen this time. And from the tragedies that we're seeing, we're going to make things dramatically better for everybody that's involved.
If you are somebody who knows somebody who has chronic kidney disease, if you're related to someone with chronic kidney disease, if you have hypertension or diabetes, you're going to want to come back and listen to what Dr. Gibney has to say, because there's more to this. We're all in this together, and let's learn how we can better treat ourselves and our neighbors to get chronic kidney disease under control. And you're listening to On the Record with Tiffany.